Wow, I totally didn't even see that guy. That was scary. He just totally passed me on the right, and I was about to get over to the right. Holy shit. Wow. That could have been bad. I heard a tire screech on my right, and I guess he was in my blind spot. I didn't see him, and that was my fault for not being aware of the people behind me. But I heard a tire screech, and all of a sudden I see this guy passing me on the right, and he's pulling over right to the left. And I was, like I said, I turned into my left lane. I was getting up to speed, and I was about to get into the right lane because I wasn't planning on passing anybody. So I generally use the keep right except to pass philosophy, whether I'm on my motorcycle or I'm driving in my car. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I remember what I was saying. That I generally keep right except to pass. So, but I also, when you're turning left, you're supposed to turn into the leftmost lane, like the lane that on the perpendicular road that's sort of closest to your side of the road. So, and I say that people do this all the time. They make the left, but they go straight into the right lane. Now, if you're trying to get into, like, say, something on the intersection that's, like, right on that, as soon as you make the left, it's, like, kind of right there on the right, it does get a bit tricky. But from a legal standpoint, as far as I understand traffic law, you're supposed to go into the left lane first, and then, if safe, signal that you're going to turn right and go into the right lane, and then into the place that you are trying to get to. But realistically, what happens is that people will just make the left and go straight into the right lane, and that causes issues, because technically, it could be a green, and someone who's going the opposite direction on the same road that you're turning from could be trying to make a right, and you end up both merging together into the right lane, and boom, you have a traffic incident. I think it actually might make a certain degree of sense, and I'm certainly not like a person who loves the legal system. Although if you listen to if you watch my channel at all, you'll quickly discover that I like to talk about legal stuff quite often. But the reason I end up talking about legal stuff is because, like, ethics and morality are very interesting to me from a philosophical standpoint, and it pretty much turns out that like the legal system is basically just like a sort of like a societal approximation of ethics and morality. So, like, to talk about ethics and morality, it's kind of hard not to sort of bring up, like, the legal climate, I guess from a pragmatic standpoint, to bring up, like, the legal climate in, like, the place that I'm living. But I actually don't like imposing sort of order on individuals. But the problem that I run into is when I take a more pragmatic approach. Theoretically, right, like, the state shouldn't spend a whole lot of time sort of governing individuals who aren't causing harm to other people, right? Like, you should be able to just pretty much, like, live and let live, do your thing, and everybody's happy. But and that's especially the case if individuals are behaving, like, rationally. But unfortunately, again, from a pragmatic standpoint, in my experience at least, and I'm pretty sure in most people's experience, People don't behave rationally. So anyways, the point I was trying to make is that as much as I don't want to say it, I kind of feel like the state should impose a particular regulation, which is to make sure all drivers have to take like either defensive driving or like traffic law for the state that they, or province or country that they live in, like yearly. You know, make driving the privilege that it really is, instead of people kind of developing this like false complacency about their state as drivers and motorists, that most people treat driving like it's a chore. You know, oh, I have to go drive to work every frickin' day and drive home every frickin' day, and it ends up being this like just monotonous chore that they spend doing for like a large portion of their life. And they kind of like just know the minimum that they had to learn when they first became a driver, when they were, you know, probably most likely a teenager, or if you're like an immigrant more recently. And they, you know, over the course of 15, 20, 30, 40 years, they forget this shit and end up developing really bad driving habits that are unsafe, not only for them, but also for other people on the road. You know, I look at driving or riding, or, you know, even flying for that matter too, because I kind of do all three. But, you know, flying is sort of a separate thing, but let's just stick with the road for now. So like driving a car or a truck or other motorized, you know, just being a motorist, right? Whether it's a car, a truck, a motorcycle, a trike, you know, what are those things called? A Can-Am, like spider thingy, whatever it is. You know, if it has a motor, and this also, I'll get to this in a minute, but this should also apply, like I said, right? Anything that has a motor, not necessarily an engine, anything that has a motor. That would include e-bikes, in my opinion. You know, anybody who operates a vehicle that has a motor, should be required to yearly take refresher courses, and these should be issued by the state. They should be subsidized by taxpayer revenue because it's in the interest of the state. I would not be cool with them mandating that everybody goes to a private third party, because that would be a government granted monopoly, and I'm not a big fan of government granted monopolies. I think that they're unjust. So if the state, you know, through their governing body says, you know what, this is the way it's going to be, all motorists have to take refresher courses and or defensive driving, ideally defensive driving as well, yearly, and, you know, hell, you could even, it would probably add a shit ton of bureaucracy and make it sort of an awkward process, but you know, you could just make the driver's licenses, well, I wouldn't make them expire yearly. Like, you know, there's some places where they don't expire until you're 65. But, you know, let's say that they kind of go with the general standard, say, like on the East Coast in North America, and it's usually like 5 years, right? So you have to renew your license every 5 years. But what you can do, like just in a database, is, and this is very easy, flag that person just like you would flag their license as suspended. When someone's license is suspended, you don't, as far as I understand, you don't take the license from them. It's just if they go drive and a cop, like, you know, pulls them over and's like, hey, I want to see your license, the cop goes and runs the license in the state's database and figures out, oh, hey, this person has a suspended license. Well, do the freaking same thing for staying current with the driving requirements, or the driving law familiarity requirements. And then you also remove the issue of, like, oh, I didn't know, right? Because then you can really say that, they say, oh, well, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, in this case, they really can't claim ignorance of the law, because you can be like, oh, well, hey, look, you guys have to take this thing every year, and you really, should know it because you're taking it every freaking year. And so I realized that this causes a bit of issues for sort of individual liberty and come and take it and don't tread on me and all of these other individualist ideas, which I think there's a time and a place for some of those things, and I think all of them have sort of a nuanced application, right? I don't think anything is as simple as they often try to make them, which leads to other issues with boiling the frog and stuff.